Let's do an intro.
Cue and the music!
What's up, guys? Welcome to Bursting Bubbles, home of unpopular opinions for pop culture. I'm your humble host, Matt, and if you couldn't tell from the intro, I like to keep things normally pretty light around here, tackling serious topics, all while not taking ourselves too seriously. Seriously? Seriously. All while take two. One quick note about the production of this show. As you're probably hearing right now, I don't know, there's birds chirping outside. The lighting in here is probably not the best in the world, but one thing I can promise you, as for the content and myself, will always be transparent, honest, genuine, and authentic. As the channel continues to grow, I'm sure that I'll be bringing in more pieces of equipment and things here and there to make the production quality even greater between audio and visual. So if you're along for the ride, I really love to hear that. Let's go. So with all that said, I thought this would be a good time to explain what it is that you can come to expect from the content of this show, the why to the what, and a brief rundown of my background. The why to me is so much more important to the what of your seeing, the motivation behind this. I am a Christian and a conservative. And what I wanted to do is come onto a platform where I knew I could reach both like-minded individuals and people that didn't think like me. But that's the great thing. Our differences should not end the conversation. Our differences should actually be the genesis, pun intended, of our conversation. I did serve as the digital director on Dr. Ben Carson's 2016 presidential campaign, but my story doesn't end or begin there. Much like you, my life is more multifaceted than one position that I held at one time in my life. I spent 12 years in the military. I deployed to Iraq. I've worked with television shows, public figures, nonprofits, corporations, some that you've heard of, some you probably have not, but again, that's not the point. The point is that I've been seeing so much of how we are told to consume content, and being a content producer and distributor for so long of my professional life, I just feel like we're being force-fed, manufactured, and manipulated narratives. And I enjoy talking with free thinkers, regardless of what end of the spectrum you fall on. So the point of this show, the why, is to basically, it's bursting the bubbles of the status quo narrative and examining issues from as much as I can possibly be unbiased. Of course, I'm going to have an agenda. Everybody has an agenda. I like to say I'm not opinionated, I'm just vocal. We all have opinions on these topics, whether that's sports, religion, politics, media, movies, music, what have you. I think that we all have an opinion. We're just not so vocal about it all the time. We've been put in our camps, been told to stay in our boxes. We've become so involved in our own echo chambers that all we can hear is our own voice bouncing off the walls. Is that a word, rebouncing? I don't know. But the point is, I hope that you are a free thinker. I'm a free thinker. I enjoy spending time in conversation and dialogue with free thinkers. So if that's the kind of person you are gonna love this show, and I hope that you're ready for the ride. So let's get bursting some bubbles left and right. Let's go. Parched. And I hear birds outside. Perched. Are the perched partridges parched? Weird. Tribalism. 3 vowels. Tribalism. Now, I knew walking into this topic in conversation that it could be potentially polarizing and very sensitive at the same time, given what we see happening throughout our country with these protests. There are buildings being set ablaze, private establishments being looted and pillaged, innocent bystanders being dragged through the streets. This is insane. Now, I come at this from a Christian lens, so To me, it's both the devil and Jesus are into mathematics. The enemy is a fan of division. Christ is a fan of multiplication. Tribalism keeps us in our own boxes, us versus them. I think this goes to the point of how media is distributed to us and how we end up thinking in terms of clans and tribes. The more that we can be divided and segmented and put into our boxes, the better we can be controlled and manipulated. Division should not be the end of our conversation. It should be the beginning. But conversation doesn't come at the end of a bat. Talk softly and carry a big stick, right? Great quote, Roosevelt. I firmly believe in that. I think you should do your talking with your actions. The actions that we see right now, I think, is a big product of this tribalism mentality. It comes down to all the media that we consume and from what sources. For me, a Christian, Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the source of truth and the source of my information. And I do view the Bible as truth and inerrant. Now, again, whether you agree with my perspective or not on that, I'm not going to use the Bible to beat this point into the ground. I don't think that it takes a person of any particular faith or religious credo to see what's happening right now and acknowledge the tribalism displayed by everyone in this country right now. Again, I come from a media and content production and distribution background. I understand spin. I understand keeping people in their echo chambers because that riles the base. But enough is enough. It matters where we're getting our content from and considering the source. Whether you're a liberal, progressive, socialist, Democrat, or the most red-blooded, conservative, Republican, Tea Party individual, both sides, we can come to a balance in the middle. I'm as conservative as they come, but I think we can come to somewhere a balance. Think about a seesaw. If you're putting all weight on one end, only the other side's going to get lifted, right? You need to balance this thing out. I don't understand what's going on right now. To be honest, I don't have the solution for it other than pointing to Christ. When did pointing to Christ become unpopular? When did pointing to morality, a universal truth, become unpopular? Well, because that's not what sells. That's the truth. It's easier to sell culture on a tangible product of a personality or pop star or actor or politician rather than it is to an intangible creator. Yeah, Christ is the answer. Now, that brings me into free speech. Free speech has never been free. It needs to be exercised and practiced. Rights are like muscles. They get weaker the less you exercise them. Less is not always more. The remedy for bad speech is not less speech. It's bad enough that we have to pay too much for filtered bottled water. Now we have to pay too much attention to filtered bottled media. We've become complacent and overly opulent. We've become so afraid to offend that we're willing to break our ankles jumping over cognitive dissonance hurdles in the process. And that brings me to my last point, making decisions based on our heart versus our head. Switch that. Moving on. Because of tribalism, it's somehow become mutually exclusive to make decisions based on our hearts versus our heads. Our vision is skewed. We've become polarized. Bringing this full circle, I encourage all of us to get away from the politically correct free speech bubble viewed through the lens of tribalism. I think that we can get much further together than we can opposed. So, if you found the content in this video to be unique, interesting, thought-provoking, maybe you laughed a little bit, maybe you nodded, you giggled, maybe you even threw your phone or your desktop against the wall because you got so angry by what I was saying, in which case, I don't know how you're still watching this video. Regardless, I'll be covering more things as we move forward in the show: politics, faith, religion, sports, music, movies, actors, yard gnomes. Yard gnomes are a thing. They're the next great threat. No joke. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you like the content in this show, consider watching more of that as I continue to produce it. Maybe even one day you'll end up subscribing. Who knows? But until that day happens, keep bursting those pop culture bubbles left and right. Until next time, God bless and peace. Birds everywhere, even on my shirt. Hey, what's up? B-roll. Why is it called B-roll? What happened to C-roll? What about Tootsie Roll? So welcome to, I don't even know. What's the name of the show? I'm your humble host, Matt, and yeah, I'm gonna do that again. And if you couldn't tell from the intro that I'm taking too long because I got this wrong, go again. Perched partridges, parched. Are they perched partridges, perched? What if I did an intro like Sean Connery? Watch up, YouTube. That's like Scrooge McDuck. DuckTales. Woohoo. Yes, Trebek. What's wrong with me? Seriously.